Take me down to Duke's Play. Wildest box in town is Duke's Play. Left eye piano sound in Duke's Play.
Hi everybody, I'm Dr. Izzy Rudnick from the CPS Curriculum Department, and it's so great that you're joining me today. We're going to talk about jazz, America's music. We're going to talk about why it's important, where it got started, and what it really has done for America. Jazz is the original American art form. It came along at the beginning of the 20th century, and it revolutionized the entire world. So the first thing I'd like to talk about with you is, why is jazz so important? What makes it so important that it is now pretty much offered in almost every high school? There's a jazz ensemble, there's a jazz course. It's now an actual college degree in every music school in college pretty much across the country. And there are some reasons for that. And I'd like to start with that. So first of all, jazz is the most influential and recognized American art form of the 20th century. It's been performed in countries throughout the world. And when jazz was created at the beginning of the 20th century, don't forget, it was perfect timing, because that's when the technology came into play for recordings. People got a hold of these early jazz recordings by King Oliver and Louis Armstrong, and it was amazing. They had never heard a dynamic, powerful, improvised music like jazz before. Another reason, very, very important reason, why jazz needs to be appreciated and studied is that it documented the Black experience in America. And it did so in a very positive and true kind of light. Not the stereotypical, very racist light that had been going on for years and years and years. Now we had recordings of these great Black artists, and when we listened to it, we could see that, wow, this is something that the Black community and the Black artists created, and it was absolutely astounding. Jazz also produced some of the greatest cultural icons of the 20th century. When you go around the world and you show pictures of famous people, when you show a picture of Louis Armstrong, he's more recognized than many of our American presidents, photos of our American presidents. Louis Armstrong, cultural icon. Duke Ellington, cultural icon. Ella Fitzgerald, cultural icon. Billie Holiday with her amazing recording of Strange Fruit. These are powerful American images and artists who changed the history of music. Another thing that I'd like to point out that you might not be aware of is that all the popular music, the rock, the hip hop, the soul, the blues, everything that you listen to today, it has its roots in Black American music, starting with the blues, gospel, work songs, moving through ragtime, and then jazz. And these great jazz artists, Bessie Smith, Louis Armstrong, they set the stage for what popular musical entertainment would be like in America. So that is the foundation. Whenever you're listening to any pop on the radio, rap, hip hop, whatever, it owes a debt to this jazz music that was created by these great Black artists. So now I think what we need to do is we need to talk about where jazz came from, okay? So there are three parts of the world that were very influential in creating the roots that jazz would build upon. And the first and most important, as you may already know, is Africa. African traditions. We're going to talk for a second about African traditions and what made them so important in the creation of jazz when it came along at the beginning of the 20th century. So the first thing that we're going to talk about in terms of African traditions is percussion, drums. In Africa, music is not entertainment. It is a basic, everyday form of communication. And one of the instruments used is drums, a variety of hand drums. Djembe from West Africa. Today I'm going to show you the conga drum and show you three sounds that are used in Africa with drums, whether they be djembe, conga. So we'll go over here. This is a conga, a set of congas. You have a high conga and a low conga. Now in African music, there are three primary sounds. There is the tone, and that you slap that or you hit that with your hand. There is the slap, which you give it a little bit of a pop. It's got a real biting, kind of sharp, powerful sound. And then there's the bass. And can you hear the difference? I'll play all three now. So tone, slap, bass. So the three different kinds of pitches. And in African music, they use drums, xylophones, a variety of different instruments to communicate emotion, to communicate important information. So in this country, it's kind of hard for us to imagine because we think of music as entertainment. We, pop it on our iPod, we pop it on our phone, we listen to it, it's entertainment. But in Africa, music is communication and it's part of everyday life. What other African traditions did we use and were used to create jazz? Well, in African music, there is a lot of rhythmic activity going on. In music, we call it polyrhythms, and it means there's a lot of rhythm going on at the same time, different kinds of rhythms. That was a feature of African music, and in a minute, I'll play you a clip, and you'll be able to hear that. Percussive effects, not only on percussion instruments, but with the voice. That is very communicative, okay? So lots of percussive effects in the singing that was going on in Africa. Call and response, very, very important. Or in today's world, maybe you can think of it as question and answer. So there was that kind of back and forth. Now, those of you who go to church on a regular basis, you know what that is. You have a preacher, minister, starting out, singing something. The audience sings back. Call and response. And that brings up a really, really important point. That this African tradition that would be pulled into jazz, it is a dialogue. It is not just one instrument playing a piece of music straight through. The important point is that it's improvisatory, and it's back and forth. A soloist, the collective group, there's a communication there that's incredibly important. And then one other thing that I'd like to say about African music, and then we'll play some clips, is that there's a lot of tonal variation. You hear rings and buzzes and shouts. There's a lot of variety. It's not like the European music where we have violin and piano and it's the same kind of sound and texture throughout the piece. So right now, we're going to play 2 audio clips for you. The first one, the name of this song is Ake, and it is a Yoruba work chant from Nigeria. And it's from a wonderful, wonderful anthology called The Long Road to Freedom. And if you get a chance to listen to it, it is absolutely amazing. The Long Road to Freedom, an anthology of black music. So we're going to listen to that clip first, and then I have a second clip for you, which is kind of a larger sort of choir clip. It is from Nigeria as well, and it features the Ainu Center Choir. Have a listen to this.
Iṣẹ́ kí lágbẹ̀ ń ṣe tí mo mọ̀? Oko lágbẹ̀ ń ro tí mo mọ̀. Iṣẹ́ kí lágbẹ̀ ń ṣe tí mo mọ̀? Oko lágbẹ̀ ń ro tí mo mọ̀. Iṣẹ́ kí lágbẹ̀ ń ṣe tí mo mọ̀? Oko lágbẹ̀ ń ro tí mo mọ̀. Iṣẹ́ kí lágbẹ̀ ń ṣe tí mo mọ̀? Oko lágbẹ̀ ń ro tí mo mọ̀. Iṣẹ́ kí lágbẹ̀ ń ṣe? 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 Ojoojúmọ́ lágbẹ̀ ń làgì. Iṣẹ́ kí lágbẹ̀ ń ṣe? Ojoojúmọ́ lágbẹ̀ ń gègì. Iṣẹ́ kí lágbẹ̀ ń ṣe? Ojoojúmọ́ lágbẹ̀ ń làgì. Ojoojúmọ́ lágbẹ̀ ń gègì. Ojoojúmọ́ lágbẹ̀ ń làgì. Iṣẹ́ kí lágbẹ̀ ń ṣe? 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 Ojoojúmọ́ lágbẹ̀ ń làgì.
Okay, so we just listened to a few clips of African music. Now we're going to talk about another important tradition in the creation of jazz from a different part of the world, the European tradition. Now, the European tradition drew on a couple of different elements. One of the most important was harmonies and simple chords. So I'm going to demonstrate a few of these simple chords for you that would be very, very important in the creation of jazz. So in European classical music, we have simple chordal structures known as triads, seventh chords. And in this particular case, we have a very simple progression based on a 1 chord, a 4 chord, a 5 chord, and 1 chord. And that simple progression, 1, 4, 5, 1, is really the basis for Western classical music. And in jazz, it was simple enough for the musicians to take it, syncopate it a bit, and work with that. So that's an important European tradition. Another very important part of the European tradition, of course, is the musical instruments that were used, particularly brass and woodwinds. And these would become very important in early jazz. So when we talk about these brass and woodwind instruments, we are talking about the cornet, the trumpet, the trombone, the woodwind instruments, of course the clarinet, and the larger brass instruments, tuba or sousaphone. So right now, let's take a second and let's listen to 2 clips that demonstrate the European musical tradition that jazz drew from. Well, thanks so much for joining me today. Again, I'm Dr. Izzy Rudnick from the CPS Curriculum Department, and we hope to see you soon. Take care.
Baby, take me down to a dude's place.